Hey guys, it's Atu here. I just wanted to make a quick gear review video today because I recently picked up this absolutely epic piece of kit, the Seymour Duncan PowerStage 170. Now if you don't know what this thing is, the PowerStage 170 is basically a 170 watt solid state power amp. No tubes, nothing like that, totally digital. It comes in this super solid steel casing. It's got a little fan here to keep it cool because it heats up quite a lot, which I would worry about if I were rack mounting it. It's got vents on either side, and it's pretty much the size of a big guitar pedal. On the front here, we've got a bass, a mid, and a treble, 3-band EQ, a big old level fader for turning it up, and I mean, I guess you could turn it down sometimes, if you really have to. It's got 3 little LEDs here, one for power on, one for the temperature overheating to check if it's melting, and one for clipping if you're starting to sound like crap. On the back, we've got power jack input, power switch on and off, a loudspeaker output that goes from 4 to 16 ohms at 170 watts, no power attenuation on this guy, and a guitar input. It's super simple, it's impossible to screw up, and if anybody tells you that when I first bought this thing, I plugged my guitar jack into the loudspeaker output and my loudspeaker jack into my guitar input and thought that it was broken, that person is a dirty liar and shouldn't be trusted. Now, the reason I bought this guy is because I recently started using the Fractal Audio Systems XFX, right? Specifically, I'm using an AX8 because it's about the size of a big pedal board and it runs kind of the same systems that the XFX 2 is running, pretty comparative. How an XFX works, or an unpowered Kemper, or a Line 6 Helix, is that they're essentially really advanced preamps that do all of your modeling and everything for you. So what they need to run through a speaker cabinet or to run through a full range speaker is some kind of decent power amp. And what you want, because you're doing so much tone shaping in those systems, is something quite transparent, something quite clean. You know, tubes will always have their own tone, so if you're running an XFX through a tube amp, you're going to have to kind of adjust your tone for that already having its own kind of frequencies and whatnot as it warms up, and its own distortion and saturation. Whereas with one of these guys, I can run it just straight through, and it's going to sound basically exactly as it sounds through my monitors or through my headphones or whatever. And I can trust it to be quite clean. It's also really easy to use on stage because I can adjust my levels really quickly, and I can adjust the overall global EQ right here really easily without having to try and use the interface on the front of an XFX, which if any of you have ever used an XFX before, you know is like something out of 1982. It's not good. Do I suggest you buy this guy? Yeah, it has heaps of headroom. You know, 170 watts of solid state power doesn't seem like that much compared to 100 watts of tube power, but although I haven't used a dB meter on it, it's incredible. It has huge amounts of volume, huge amounts of headroom. It's basically perfect. And you know, spending money feels good, so go ahead and buy it because you deserve it, honestly. I mean, you probably don't, you're probably a lazy piece of junk, but just buy it anyway, it'll make you feel good.